Welcome back to Red Hawk Media's Virtual Academy. And sorry for the delay there. YouTube was giving me some odd live streaming is not available message, and yet it let me click on the go live button anyway. So here we are. Very first thing that we're going to start with is some updates. I think it's appropriate that we jump over to Schoology, take a look at some of the dates that we've got here, deadlines for different classes, and whatnot. And let's take a look at that. Let me send this over here and click. There we go. And here's where we're looking. We're talking Schoology. I'm going to zoom in here so we can see everything that's up and coming here. Wednesday, for all the Digital Media 2 classes, we've got the moving platforms that everyone is working on. I'll talk a little bit about that today in the live stream. YouTube Carousel is a reference to web design that's due today. I've got another resource for you guys as well. Looking way far ahead till Sunday, 11:59. We're talking about the final game build for game design. That would be your 2D game completely built out and turned in. And again, the instructions for that I put into the live stream this Monday. So if you go back to Monday's live stream, the first orange one that you see in the playlist, check that out. And also the instructions are on Schoology as well. Stinger Pack, that's something that Digital Media 1 has been working on throughout the week. You've got a number of different MP3s that you've got to put together. We'll talk a little bit about that today. And then finally, for video production, that would be the vlog, A Week in Quarantine here. And just we've been looking at some different examples. And I think right now it's just a matter of getting the footage that you need for that to put together. Okay, let's get started. That'd take us back to Digital Media 2. And let me swap over to that real quick here. And that's Digital Media 2 and sending this on over here. Okay, what I would like to focus on here for Digital Media 2 is that just take a look at some more examples of games that are going in the right direction. People have been implementing a number of different things. We're working on the moving platforms, and then I'm going to address some of the issues that people are having with the moving platforms, and then a few of the issues that I've noticed just looking at some of the games that we've turned in. So let's start with the first one here. Let's take a look. This is Rachel's game here, and it is very well done. You can see how she incorporated the moving platform here. Looks really good. She can move around. Now, I don't know if you noticed, but there are some gaps between those platforms and that. Before you go creating a whole bunch of platforms, it's good to kind of get those little gaps between the sprites ironed out before you go copying and pasting and duplicating a lot of platforms here. She's got a pretty elaborate level here, and it looks really good. All right, excellent. The next example is Nikki, and I bring up Nikki's example here because, well, Nikki has been on every single day. The other reason is you can see how she has customized this moving platform here. It's not just the platform, everything is moving with it. We've got the rock, the trees, and the coins all included into that prefab so that all of position A, all of those tiles are moving up and down. Very well done. Nice job, Nikki. And Nikki's another person, like I mentioned Colin yesterday. Nikki's been on pretty much every day with me on Google Meet. We've been working through stuff, sharing her screen, and then we go through and we troubleshoot any kind of problems that are going on there. So definitely take advantage of that resource. The next one is Madison, okay, which will lead us into one of the things that we can look at fixing, or maybe it's part of your game that you want to keep. She's got a very well laid out level here, jumping through. And then at one point here, right about now, you're going to see her double jump. Okay, and that's one of the things that I've noticed a lot of the games have in them, and I don't think it's necessarily intentional. It may be something that you want as a game feature, but double jumping is because your character thinks that they're still on the ground. And that means that your ground is labeled as something that is basically, let me clear this here, and there we go. Your ground is basically labeled, everything is labeled as your ground, and that's why you're able to double jump. So if we take a look at this in the context of the game, let's start with the first thing, first issue, and then we'll work up to that double jump thing. Here's the first one. Let me switch over, and then I'm going to bring up Unity. Oh, I closed that. All right. And let's reopen that. My bad. It takes a little bit to open. But the first thing we're going to look at is a number of people brought that prefab into their game, and this is what it kind of looked like. They had, let me grab one of my moving platforms here, and I'm going to take it down to this folder so it creates a prefab out of it. Okay, and now that moving platform, when you drag it into the game, looks something like this. It's a blue cube, not exactly the same as mine. Mine's a little updated from your version of Unity, possibly. But you've got this blue cube, and because of that, it wasn't allowing people to do anything with it. So one of the first things that you can do to be able to make sure that you can first add the platform movement script, and then two, add these sprites that you need to add to make it your own platform, is you can right click on this, and then you can go down and you can unpack the prefab completely. What that means is it's going to take the prefab and break it apart into all the little pieces, and then you can go about rebuilding that the way that you need. So if you're really struggling with the moving platform, it's not letting you add the script on, or it's saying that there's script errors, this might be one of the things that's stopping you. Here's another thing. I noticed that a lot of people added their levels, and let's go ahead and I'm going to double click on this moving platform, and I'm going to move it into an area where we can see it in our scene from the scene view. Let me move this right up here. So there it is. It's right above the spikes. I'll put it right above the coins here so we can kind of tell them apart. Okay. And then one of the things that was problematic is that some people, when they dragged in this prefab, they accidentally had the Z space like crazy negative. And you'll notice that the moment I go negative on Z space, again, I'm looking over here at the transform, and I'm taking the Z space. So you got your X side to side, Y up and down, and then you've got your Z space forward to back in relation to the camera. And for some reason, when some people were bringing the prefab in, the Z space was negative. And if you watch my game view over here, the moment this goes negative, it disappears. Okay, so now it's off the camera. It's completely out of whack. We can't see it. So a lot of people are like, oh crap, it's broken. It's not broken, it's there. You just have to bring it back to positive Z space. A good way to go about doing this to make sure that everything is lined up the way that you want is I would recommend if you unpack that prefab. So I'm going to go over here, unpack this completely, and then I'm going to drop it down to all the different parts that are in there. And the very first one that I'm going to start with is the overall moving platform empty object. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to my transform, and I'm going to reset it so it's all zeros. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same for position A, and I'm going to reset that so that it's all zeros as well. And then I'm going to take position B, which who knows where that is, and then I'm going to reset that back to zeros. And now we've got kind of a clean slate to build with. So when I zoom in here, okay, and let's see here. All of those things are right here now, right on my character, which is zeroed out as well. Now I can take that overall moving platform and I can move it all together. And I know that all the things are lined up now, okay? And then I can take my position B, and I know that I can move that directly up from where my platform is, okay? And I'm going to have now a moving platform that's going up and down properly. So when I hop in here, you can see there's my platform right there. I can hop in, and then it's going to be going up and down. There's a lot of platforms going on there. Now, one other thing that came up is if you want to add anything else to this platform, just go in like the example from Nikki where she had the trees and the coins and everything on there. We can hop right into position A. And then on position A, I can add in any other tiles that I want. So if I want to put a tree on here, if I want to put on, any other kind of decorations, mushrooms, whatever you've got in your tile set here, I can drop those in on position A here and make them a child of position A, just like these tiles. I added a point light on mine, so it's got kind of a glow behind it. And those are just some different things that you can add in there. Last thing, and then I'm going to move on to that double jump issue. This platform is quite a bit smaller than all the rest, and you may have your sprite set when you're dragging these tiles in and that. You may want to resize them. Great way to do that so that they all resize together is I can go to the overall moving platform object, and then I can go over to my transform, and I can go to scale, And I'm going to zoom back out here in a second, but I'm just going to take the X and Y and up that to 2. I'm going to double the size. So I'm going to 2 and 2. And you can see that puts it up to quite a bit bigger. Oop, that one went to 21. 2. There we go. So you can see that's what I've got my other platforms at. So now that all matches up. Okay, so now the issue of the double jump. On your character, you can select your character. One other thing that I would just point out too, if you've got a character, this goes out to Rowan here, who's been turning in his game with a character that's running in the middle of all of his platforms. First thing I would say, Rowan, adjust your colliders. Okay, make sure that the circle collider is edited so it's exactly with the bottom of your character's feet. Okay, the other thing is we've also got a box collider 2D that's on here. Make sure that it's exactly the same width, because one of the other issues I've noticed on some of the games is people are jumping into platforms and they're like getting snagged on them, like there's edges on their character, which is kind of odd, and that's because these are not lined up exactly so that it's like a smooth surface. Okay. One other thing too is if you are working with platforms and you're running in the middle of your platform, if it's not your character colliders, then obviously it's your platform colliders. You can see my platform here is set up with a collider that the top of it is halfway into it, because these are designed to look like they have some depth to them. So now when my character jumps on it, it looks like he's standing in the middle of the platform. Okay, so just a quick word about colliders, adjusting those. All right, well, the overall collision is what we're having problems with the double jump. So back to the double jump issue, select your character. And then over in the inspector here, I'm going to zoom in. In the inspector, if I scroll down to, let's see here, which one is it? I got my weapon script. You don't have one of those. And here we go. It's the platform character 2D script. So if you got a character that's jumping, and he's not touching the ground whatsoever, he's double jumping, and you can just, almost like Flappy Bird, you can just keep taking him up, you know. We want to define what is ground. Okay, now you can say everything is ground, and then your character will always appear or will always believe that he's on the ground, and then will always be able to jump. And also, you will never see the jumping animation, because one of the conditions for the jumping animation is the ground is false. But in this case, if everything is the ground, it can never be false. So you get that double jumping thing going on there. So if you go to the what is ground feature, and then you go down to platform, or you go to default, one of the things that I did very early on is I decided, well, I'm going to have these platforms. I can only jump off of the platforms. So what I did is on any of my platform layers, for instance, like our moving platform here, I can select that overall game object. I can go over to the inspector here, and you can see it probably says right now like default or maybe no layer for you. You can always go in and add a layer, and once you go into that add a layer, you can see here are all the ones that are showing up in your list right now. And then if you go down, there's a lot of different areas that you can add different layers in. So I just went down to layer 30 and I added platform in there. And then I went back out and reselected my object here. And I just set the layer to platform. And when you do that, it's going to ask you, hey, do you want to make everything a platform layer that's in this object? That means all the children as well that are in here. And then you just select yes. Once everything is a platform, like all of your platforms are marked as platforms, you can set that as your ground. So when I go back to my character, you can see this is what I've got set up. I go back to my character, and then let me zoom back into that feature. Instead of having everything as the ground, I just go down and I select platform now. And that's the only time that my character will believe that they're on the ground, and it's the only time that they will be able to jump. Okay, now you got to be careful with that, because if you've got things like, just to give you an example here, in my scene, I've got these like acid baths, and if you fall into them, if it's not set to platform, you can't jump out of them. Okay, so that might be something that you have to think about, is if you've got big pools of acid or water or anything else, you know, that you want to be able to jump out of, you should probably mark them as platform or whatever you're choosing to that layer as. But those are some issues that I noticed. some things that you can clean up on your game. Those of you that are ahead, those are some of the little tweaking things that you can do to make sure that you're all set up. Otherwise, I believe, let me double check my notes here. Yeah, that's it. That's all good for the digital media too. That covers everything. Remember, your deadline is at the end of today for the moving platforms. Get your screen recorded showing that the moving platforms work, and then go ahead and get that turned into Schoology. Excellent. We're going to move on here. Okay, and from here, it's going to take us from digital media 2 over to web design. Okay, and in web design, this is the main thing that I wanted to show you. We've been working on YouTube galleries, and I've given you a couple examples already of YouTube galleries. The first day, on Monday, I gave you a link to a website that gave you some code for embedding iframes in a gallery. The second day, I showed another example of how you could go through and actually code it with HTML and CSS. Which was, I think, in my opinion, a little bit more challenging because the gentleman that was doing that, Ratty the Brand is his channel name, he moves pretty quickly. Now, if you want to go another route with this, you can use this site. And I put this link in the description below. It's the third one, and it creates a widget for you. And a widget is just a piece of code, basically, that you could plug into your website. The nice thing about this one is it's free. And it's highly customizable, and you can make it look a lot of different ways. The only thing you have to give them is your email. So you can give them a junk email, but they're going to make you verify and all that kind of stuff. So just know that up front. Don't give them a fake one. And then when you hop in here, you can go through the steps of actually creating the widget. And then once you create that widget, you can hop in here and you can start plugging in, okay, do I want it to look just like a YouTube channel? Do I want it to be a video grid? Because a lot of you were talking about kind of like that Netflix setup, you know? Do we want it to be just a single video that we highlight? A video gallery, which most of you were looking at. And then we have different playlists that we can emphasize as well. So a lot of different options that we've got here that we can work with. Once you choose one of these, let's say I go with that video gallery, okay? Then I can move on to that next step and start working through this to create that widget. Okay, and then if you say continue with this template, it'll walk you through those steps. You can choose colors, you can choose all of that stuff as you go. Highly customizable, pretty sweet. And then once you give them your email, then you can actually download the widget, and then you can add it right into your website. It's a little chunk of code that you can put in there. Okay, so I just want to throw that out there to web design as another option for the YouTube gallery that you might incorporate into your site for the Red Hawk Media build that you're doing. Excellent. That pretty much wraps it up for web design. I'll let you guys decide which route you want to go with that. But let's go ahead and take a look at the very next thing then, which would be game design. Game design yesterday, I foolishly thought I knew where all the buttons were, and I did not. I was showing you how to build your game for testing purposes, and I'm going to go in today, now that I'm better informed here, and show you exactly what you can click on to actually get a window build, which means that you can run multiple games at the same time so that you can do testing on different parts, and it just makes it quicker and easier to get in and out of the game to test stuff and see what's going on. So let me show you that right now. Let me bring up Unity, and let's go full screen with this. Okay, and I've got my game all set up here, and right now I've got a whole bunch of junk that's in here. But once you get everything all set up, just like we talked about yesterday, File, we get into the build settings. And then once we're in the build settings here, make sure that all your scenes are included. We're building it out for PC, Mac, and Linux. Okay, and then this is where we're going to go in and we're going to set some of the player settings. And I was in the right area yesterday. I just did not know exactly where to go for this. And instead of sifting through and wasting your time, I can go to the player settings, and then there are a lot of different things that you can drop down here in the settings. We're going to go into resolution and presentation. Drop that down. And by default, this is what shows up in there. It shows up as full screen. So every time you build it, it'll go to your native full screen. But one of the things you can do is you can build it in windowed mode. Okay, and then you can set a size. So let's say I want to build this out at, well, we'll leave it just like that because We just need to see what's working and not working. And I've already done this build. I've already done the built it out. So I'm going to hop over to the file that it produced. Let me close all this out. And let me get over there. It's on my desktop here. And let's get this stuff out of the way. Don't need that. And let's see here. This is the one, I believe. And now when I double click on this, it's going to open it up in this nice little window here. Okay. And this is going to allow me to actually do the testing that I want to do here. Okay. So I've got my play button. I can still interact with the game. I can still go through and play everything. But the nice part is I can get in and out of this very easily. And then the other nice part is if I want to see part of the game, let's say I go in here a little bit into the game, and let's see. Oh yeah, I've got a big mess of stuff going on here. All right, so let's say I get into here, and I want to see another part, how it interacts. I can always bring up another window here, and I can open that up. Now, if you do different builds, if you like number them, so let's say I take this one, and let's say we copy and paste it. Or let's see if I can just do a Command D right on my desktop here. Command D. Yes. And there it goes. And now I'm going to open up that one. Perfect. Okay. And now I can go ahead and I can check out different things. Maybe I want to see if the music sound effects are working in conjunction, hop into a different part of the game, play through to a different spot. You know, whatever it may be that I want to test, I can get all these windows up. This is especially helpful as we get into the 3D unit. Some of you might decide that you want to network your game so that different people can hop in from different machines here and actually connect up to the same game. And this is kind of like the environment that you can simulate that experience in, so that you can build out multiple games and see if they're actually connected. I don't know if I would recommend doing the network route because there's a lot to it. But just to show you, this is another way that you can test your game for building, and it might help you out in the process here. It might not, but you've got all the way until Sunday to get your final build ready. Again, I would go over to Schoology. I would take a look at all the requirements for your 2D game, make sure that you meet all of those. If you have any questions whatsoever on any of the parts, if you're struggling with any of that, hop online. I'm on from 11 to noon on Google Meet. Otherwise, drop me a message, and then we'll connect and work through whatever it is that you're struggling with. And as a little incentive here, just kind of like a, hey, look at me kind of thing, I'm going to put one of the games on here that is not the final build yet, but it is it is pretty outstanding. Let's get to this. And clear. There we go. That'll work right there. Oh, and I didn't resize this. Let me resize this so you can appreciate this fully. And let's see here. Just give me a second. And this is totally worth it. Okay, we'll put that over so you can see everything that's going on in here. And yeah, there you'll be able to see everything. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on and put this on and send this over. And this is Gus's game. Okay, and Gus has done a ridiculous job on this. He's got a slider that affects the volume up and down. So like I said, if you need a working slider. And then he's got the actual game music, all the sound effects for connecting his grappling hook, which was a neat feature that Gus worked really hard to figure out. Then the other fun part about this is he added on these special sound effects to the new upgrade that he picked up during the game. And now he's dying. And his menu even has its own music here. So very well done with the music. This is... he's got to be getting pretty close. I know he's got the one level. I haven't seen a level 2 yet, but it's going to be pretty easy for him with all of this stuff in place to do that. anything, this is definitely a game to look at. It's just got all the features in there. It's very well done. In a couple days, I'll probably be showing Grady's as well because Grady's been working pretty hard on his game and he's got a lot of neat features that are in there as well. But again, you've got all the way till midnight on Sunday to put this all together and get that final build done. And take your time, get all those requirements. It is a summative, so hopefully that's a little motivating here to get that put together. And again, reach out to me on Google Meet if you need any help. And excellent. That's going to move us right along here into video production. Let me swap that over. Be a vlog, you got to capture details from each and every day. Whether you're going with that linear format or you're going more of a thematic format, however it is that you decide to do that, but make sure that you're getting regular footage throughout the week so that come Friday, you've got plenty of stuff to work with to drop into Adobe Premiere, edit that all together, and make sure that it's giving you the product that you want. And again, it's nothing fancy required for this. Your cell phone is more than sufficient. You don't need any like outrageous cameras or gimbals or anything like that to make this work. If you have a selfie stick, that would be awesome. I mean, that would help you immensely, but literally you could post your camera in a position and you could talk to it or just record little segments. Remember some of the things that are expected with it: time lapse, your overall events that you've got going on, the footage that's actually in there. We've got music that's in there. We've got some transitions, all the different things that put together a vlog. Okay, so take some time, put that together. And here we go. We're moving on. That takes us to Digital Media 1. And to start Digital Media 1, I have a tale of woe for you. This is just kind of a cautionary tale for all of you, and no names included, but make sure as you are turning in your songs for GarageBand that they are in fact your GarageBand songs. One of the things that I've been able to do here is I've been able to showcase a lot of the music on the channel, and I put it into the intro and the outro and played it at different times. And one of the interesting things that happens on YouTube is within only a few seconds of playing a song, you can get a copyright strike. Now, a copyright strike comes in because YouTube's little filter picks up the music, and right away they say, okay, this isn't going to work because it's owned by somebody else. And that actually happened on episode 15. That would be day 15 of the virtual learning. I had one song that tripped the filter here, and then I went back and listened to it, and I was like, really? Wow. So they didn't create it in GarageBand. What I thought was an incredible little, put together was not actually incredible at all. So I looked it up, and then this is what actually shows up for me. Let me go ahead and put this up here. I'm going to clear this and clear and throw this up there. And here we go. So this is what it looks like when you get a copyright strike on a YouTube channel. And you can see that if you were to try to monetize this, which our channel is not monetized, but it would be ineligible. And then the other nice part about this is it shows me exactly where it happened, so I know exactly whose song this is. And then the other thing about it is that it tells me exactly who was responsible for this as far as what the music was. So I know that Jacob and Mary Jane, they're the ones that actually created this song Bella Luna. Is it Bella Luna or Bella Luna? Bella Luna. And they created this song, and then it got turned in as somebody else's work, and then we got a copyright strike on the Red Hawk Media channel. And this is the way it works when you cheat. So just kind of a cautionary tale to all of you out there in Digital Media 1. Make sure you're using your own music, especially since I'm showcasing the music on the Red Hawk Media channel here. Other than that, the only other thing that I wanted to point out with all of this is for Digital Media 1, on your Stinger pack, one of the requirements was voiceover. Consider that more of a suggestion. Okay, the voiceover is something that you could add to your Stinger. So if you've got like an announcer-like voice and you say, we're going to commercial and we'll be right back, that would be like your voiceover that you add into that going to commercial Stinger. Now, if that's not your thing, don't do that. Okay, it's not required. Let's put it that way. So the voiceover was something that a few of you asked about. Make sure that you do that. One other thing that I want to point out in GarageBand for the stingers. Now the stingers are short. That doesn't mean that they're not highly manufactured. So what I mean by that is, if I head over to GarageBand here and I go up to full screen, this may only be 15 seconds of music, but that doesn't mean that I drop in a single loop here. We've been working on multiple tracks within our stingers so that you can make some complexity to these stingers, make them sound good. So start thinking about all the different parts that would be in the different genre of music that you're going to use for your stinger, and make sure that you include all of those in there. So if you need a bass beat, if you need synths, if you need drums, percussion, if you need guitar, make sure that you add all those different features that are in there. It should not be a one loop solution on one track for your stinger. There still has to be some complexity involved with that. Yes, you are creating, 6 or 7 different MP3s. But while you're creating those, make sure that they have the complexity of your former projects. You're still using fade ins and fade outs and all of that stuff. And don't be afraid to use some effects to kind of mix it up. Okay, excellent. I just wanted to point those things out for Digital Media One. Stinger Pack due the end of Sunday here. I've had a few people already turning stuff in. If you mess up, just resubmit your MP3. If you need to go back and revise, just resubmit your MP3 and you can get all that stuff turned in. Excellent. Well, that should pretty much take us to the end of today. And with that, just a quick reminder to everybody, if you need any help with anything, I'm available throughout the day. Google Meet, 11 to noon, that's scheduled. And then any other time that you want to connect, just drop me an email or message me on Schoology, and we can definitely connect there, and then we can work through anything, troubleshoot anything. If you're having any tech issues, whatever it may be, we'll figure it out. The big thing is I've received emails saying, hey, I haven't been able to do anything because this isn't working. And the person let it go on for a week or 2 weeks, without emailing or saying that they had any problems. If it's a real problem, I don't know. Either way, reach out to me and let's make that work for you and your grade and your success in life on virtual learning. Sorry that it has to be that way, but it is. So, that being said, thanks for joining us for another Red Hawk Media Virtual Academy here. This has been day 19 that we're wrapping up, and we'll see you again starting tomorrow. Excellent, and bye.